Let us see how to build a simple web application using Java EE. We focus on JSPs, JSTL, and we talk to database using JSTL. There are lots of options. You can go with any of those options, but in this application, we go with JSTL. Of course, JSTL is always part of JSP. So we talk about an application called Books, and all that it does is it stores details of books. Our user interface is going to be like this. This is going to be a banner called Books, a strip across the page, and below that we have menu where we say add book. It's just a link, and then you can have some more links like list books, and then you can have, if you want, something like search. That is about searching for books. As you have more books, you don't always display all of them, so you better provide an option like search. This is our menu bar. Below that, to start with, we display the details of books. So this is where we are going to have the details of books. Each book is going to have a few details. And here we talk about title of the book, then the author and price, and then the actions that you can take. So for each book, we are going to display edit, which is one of the actions, and delete. So you can edit the content of the book, you can delete the book, and this is the area where you will be getting a different interface when you go for add book. And similarly, when you go for search, again we get a different interface. Before we proceed with the user interface and other Java related things, we need to first understand the data model for this. So what tables do we need to store the data, and do we need anything other than the table? Well, we need a table called books. This is where we are going to store details of books. The structure of the table is every book is given an ID and then a title. Then we talk about author, and then we talk about price. Those are the details we have for each and every book. You can add a lot more details, but it's more about data entry, and our logic or complexity doesn't change. So ID is primary key, which is unique, and ID is also automatically generated. This is never displayed to user, it's just the internal thing. Title is the title of the book. Author may contain one or more names because some books have multiple authors. Price is about the price of the book in Indian rupee, INR. You can have number of pages, publisher, and year of release, and lot more details if you want. But our focus is not the data entry but Java EE. So we start with these details. So we need to create a table. But what I mean by, we use something like ID, and we auto generate it or automatically generate ID. For that, in Oracle, as we are using Oracle 11G, well, again, depending on your database, you have to see which way to use. In Oracle 11G, we can use a concept called sequence. Sequence is just an object in the database which generates a number automatically. You don't need to know much about it. We just create it and we use it in the context of insertion. Every time we insert a book, we use sequence so that we get the next number from the sequence. So this is a sequence, one of the objects in the database. So this is our table, this is the sequence, and the name of the sequence is something like a book ID sequence. That is the name I want to give to it. So book underscore ID underscore SEQ, that is the name of the sequence, and it starts with 1 and it is incremented by 1 automatically. We can give any starting value, but I prefer to start with 1. This is about our table, our sequence object, and our interface for our books page. This is the main page, and in this you will be having even other pages. That means this is the overall layout, and this is where you will get for add book and for edit, we have the details displayed there. So to get started, we need to first create the table. So let's go to Eclipse. I created a new dynamic web application called Books. Well, as you know, you can go to new dynamic web project. So I already created a project called Books. So you need to do something like this. Well, it's already there, so it doesn't allow, but this is what you should do. Give it a name and select the location where you want to have it. By default, it goes into that folder. Then this is the Tomcat runtime I'm using, Tomcat 8.5, and any version will do. This is what we need to use. So we are talking about Tomcat 8, and then whatever is your workspace, use that. I already created this project, so I don't have to do it, and here is my project. It's an absolutely empty project with nothing in this. So when you are planning to create a project that talks to database, that to Oracle, that uses JSTL, you need to take some steps like copy required jar files into lib. The first jar file to be copied into lib is your Oracle OJDBC6.jar. Remember, you have to copy required jar files into lib folder, not any other means. So I'm going to do that. So first I'm going to drag and drop my OJDBC6 into lib. This I'm dragging and dropping there. It's saying, do you want to copy? Yes. Then as we are using JSTL, we already downloaded a JSTL related jar file, and it's called JSTL 1.2.jar. And you need to download this from Maven. Search for JSTL and you download the jar file. Now I'm going to copy that into this. So those are the 2 jar files we need for this process. And we also need a table and a sequence. I will create them, but first I would like to have some script for that. So I'm creating a file and I put in webinfo folder. I call it as database.sql. That's the name I want to give. And this is just a .sql file. And I want to create a table. And this table name is books. This is the name I want to give. And in this we have ID, which is of type number of 5, and we need to say this is a primary key. This is all about Oracle. If you are not familiar with Oracle, don't worry, it just simply creates a table, and the table contains the columns like ID, then title, var character 2 of 30, maybe you can even give 50, doesn't matter, and this is not null, means it cannot have null value, because tables can have null values for columns, but this cannot have null. And then the next column is author, and there we are talking about something like again 50, and you can leave it empty, not really, but for now that's okay. And price is again number of 5. So is that what we want to have? 4 columns? Is that what we decided? So you need to always design before you start. So if you want to have more data, you can always think of adding more columns, but for now that will do. And then I also need to create a sequence. So we want to create a sequence called book ID SEQ. That is what I want to do. This is another command in Oracle, and we say start with 1. I want the sequence to start with 1, and there is something like no cache. This is Oracle stuff, don't worry. If you know what is Oracle sequences and all, you would understand. If you don't, you don't. That's okay. That's not important in our process. Every database management system provides a way to auto-generate numbers. And this is what you have in 11G. But starting from 12C, you have a different feature where the column is automatically incremented. It's called auto increment column. But for now, don't worry, let's go with this. And if you go to Oracle, connect it to HR account, and now you copy and paste this command, and it is going to create the table called books. So I created a table called books. That's the command you need to give by connecting to SQL Plus. But that's not enough, we need one more. So we go with that, and here we are inserting that. And we are creating a new sequence. I'm giving those 2 commands also, as you may not be comfortable with database. I make those commands available so that you can copy, paste, get those objects created. So this is in database.sql. That's where, and that is in web info folder. So that is what you do. You can actually place this file anywhere you like, doesn't matter. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to create some style sheet which can be used to style our content. So web content is where we place the style sheet. You can think of using Bootstrap and a lot of fancy stuff. But again, I don't want to deviate from the main goal. The goal is to build a simple web application from start to finish using Java EE. So let's create a style sheet that is CSS, okay, CSS file, and we call that as styles, and it will be called as styles.css. That's what I want, and it is in web content folder. Okay, so there we can have some classes like a banner. We'll see what we put, and then menu, and then I want the whole body to have some settings, like I want to have font family Verdana and font size 12 point. That's what I want. And when it comes to banner, it is going to be a strip across, and in this strip we are going to have a background color as red and foreground color is going to be white. The font family is going to be Arial. Font size is going to be some 24 point. We can change that based on the appearance. If you don't like it, you can always change it. And font weight is going to be bold. That's thick font. And I also want letter spacing to be some 5 point. That's what the banner should have. And below that we are having menu. The menu background is going to be something like a light silver. So I think we can go something like this. And we don't have much more, but you can think of using something like font weight, make it bold. Well, that's it. We are not web designers. We don't want to do too much of design, too much of styling. This is good enough. And next, in the same web content, I want to create another HTML file, and I call it as a header. And what the header contains, it's not going to have all this. Instead, it is going to have only the banner. So div class is equal to banner, and we say books. Then below that we say class is equal to menu, and that's where we have those options. What options are we planning? An anchor that goes to add Book Dot Jsp, and this is called as add book. That's the text. And then we would like to have something like list books dot JSP, and then we say list books, and then we say search books dot JSP, and we say search books. So we have only those three for now. This is our header, something we would like to include in each and every page. Okay, now the first page is going to be list books. I go with that. So let's create a JSP, and we call it as list books. Go ahead and finish. This is my list books, and there we say list of books. And at the top I would like to include, you can use something like include directive, and I'm including header.html. So at the top you get those two strips. First strip is about banner, second strip is the menu. The rest of the things will be below that. So something like H2, we are saying list of books. Okay, we can in fact straight away start it, but you also need to have the style sheet linked. So you need the style sheet. Without style sheet it doesn't work. So go to your head section, there you say link, and then you talk about H reference and relationship. Relationship is style sheet, and H reference is styles.css. So that's what we want to have. Now it's almost done, and though we don't have much to do, we can just straight away run this, and it's going to use your Tomcat. Go ahead and we restart, and it's going to show those two things at the top. That's what you get. You have the banner at the top called books. Below that you have that JSP with those links, and we go to Chrome to have a better idea about how it looks. There we are. So far we just created our banner. Below that we are creating our menu with links, and you can further modify that. For example, in the header you can go and keep them in square brackets so that you can see them more clearly. And also I want to have NBSP, which stands for non-breakable space. So when you want to give some space between items, more space, we need to use NBSP. It stands for non-breakable space. So you can see a little space between those links because that makes it more readable. Now, this is what we have, and this is where we need to get books. Now, before I start adding books, I would like to create some books, sample books. We go to again our database and try to create some books using insert into books values. The first column is going to get value from sequence. So we use, well, if you are building any application with any database, you have to be aware of the database. And the more you know about database, the better it is. So sequence is called book ID sequence dot next value. I want to take the next value from this sequence, and that is going to be the book ID. And then we talk about the title. We say Java complete reference. Then we talk about other, Herbert Schild. And then we talk about the price, some 750. This is how we can insert a row. And then we just want to have some 3 books to start with, then we will see. And then we are talking about another book called C Programming. Well, then we talk about Richie, and then it is just 350. And again we use the same, sequence dot next value. It will automatically give you the next value. And the next book is something like Oracle Database SQL by author called Jason Price. And then we are talking about some 850. Okay, some data to start with. Go copy these commands and paste them in SQL Plus. All 3 rows are inserted, but make sure you commit these changes. If you don't give commit, then you cannot access them from your Java program. So you must use commit in order to commit those changes. So those commands are also there, and you can now go and see what data you have. Select start from books, and you are seeing those 3 books. 1, 2, 3 are the book IDs. Automatically the ID is generated like this. Okay, so you created a table, a sequence, and created some sample data. Now we don't need that. We can close this, and style sheet is fine. The only thing is, when it comes to H2, I would like to have color as blue for H2. That's it. I don't need anything else. I can close this. Header is also fine for now, so we don't need that. Now this is our list books. Now list books is supposed to retrieve the data from books table and display. But before I do that, I want to connect it to database, retrieve the data. Normally, as we discussed in the past, you can use JSTL directly talking to database, retrieving the data and all, but I don't want to do it in that way. I want to create a connection and put the connection in application as an attribute. I want to create a data source object, not exactly connection. I want to create a data source object. So the next step for us is to create a listener. You know we have listeners, right? Let's go for listener. The listener is in a package called listeners. The name of the listener is a database listener. We want to create a listener called database listener, and it takes care of only lifecycle interface. So let's go for that. Click on next and finish. So you are creating a listener. This is the listener. We can remove some unnecessary things, and all that I want is only those two methods. One is context initialized, the other one is context destroyed. Now in context initialized, I want to take some action. The context initialized is executed in the very beginning. What I want to do is I want to create a data source and place it in servlet context as an attribute. I want to create a data source and put it in servlet context. The parameter is to be renamed with something meaningful, servlet context event. Now get access to servlet context. How do you do that? So I say servlet context. Context is equal to sce dot, and then you will be getting the options. There we have get servlet context. Get servlet context is giving you servlet context. You know servlet context is application. And what I want to do is place an object in that. But that object is Oracle data source. You know we can create a connection with the driver manager. You say driver manager dot get connection. But there is another way of getting connection. That is Oracle data source. So I say ODS new Oracle data source and import. It is imported, and it's also saying it is likely to throw some exceptions. So let's keep our catch block. Now this is where what I want to do is use ODS and set a few things like username. What's the username? HR. Then we are talking about password is HR. Then we talk about URL, and there you know JDBC colon Oracle colon thin @localhost 1521 XE. Is that right? We are talking about the standard JDBC URL because we are using thin driver, so we use this. And now the next step is this ODS should be placed in the context as an attribute, and I give the name as Oracle data source. That's the name I'm giving, and this is the object ODS. This is probably new to you because you haven't done it before, but this is about creating Oracle data source and putting Oracle data source in application object, also known as servlet context, so that this is available all through your application. Right from the beginning till the end, this object is in the memory and we can access it. In case if there is a problem, if you can't connect, then we just want to display the error. So ex.get message. That's it. We don't do anything more than that. So context initialized is where I'm creating a data source and I'm placing it in servlet context as an attribute. The name is Oracle Data Source. Any name you like you can give, that's not important, but it's Oracle Data Source. This is new. Now the next step for you is use this data source in JSTL. Normally in JSTL, if you remember what we did, we first use set data source to connect it to database. Then we use things like query. But now there is no set data source. This is the data source I want to use. So let's go and include JSTL here. And if I need to use JSTL, we need to register the tag libraries. So taglib, taglib, and it is saying URI is, we have some URIs, right? So it's automatically detecting what are the URIs we have, and we go for these two. We go for core and we go for SQL, both. We start with the core and then we go for SQL. So if you go for SQL, that's fine, and then the prefix for that is generally C. Is that what we do? Yes, right? And then here we say SQL. It's just the convention or general practice, and I don't want to break that. We go with the same C for core and SQL for SQL tags. And now this is where we need to start using them. What do we use? SQL dot query. And then when we say data source, this is where we have something new relative to what we have done before. This is where I say application scope dot Oracle data source. If you can recollect, data source is actually the data source, but now I'm getting it from application attribute. This is expression language in JSP. It is referring to application object, application attributes. I'm saying pick up the attribute with this name, use that. And then what else you need to give? You need to give, after this query, you need to give the query. And the query is going to be select star from books. You can even order that by book ID if you like. And then the results are to be copied. So what do we give? The variable is books. That's where we want to copy all the data. We want to copy whatever is retrieved by this query into this. Now we are trying to use no JDBC. We are trying to use JSTL to retrieve the data from database. Okay, and we are trying to use the data source from application object. It will retrieve the data, and now you can go for your core tag and for each, and then you need to say the variable is book, and then you have to talk about the items. Where are the items? Dollar, you are talking about books. That is where you have the items. So this is where you need to display the details. But before that, we need to display a table. Is it a table? The list of books displayed in the form of a table. And TR and TH, the first one is title. Then we talk about author and maybe others as well. And then the third one is price. And you also have the next one, though that is empty, we do have it. This is the way we have it, and that is end of the row. Okay, so that's the table to start with, and inside this, we'll put it at the bottom. Inside this, we need to create each and every row. TD, first column is going to be $book dot title. This is going to get you the title. because this represents one row. The book represents one row in the books table, and from there I'm going to pick up that. And after this we go with remaining like author, and then we talk about price. We need to have one more, but I'll come to that little later. And we leave that last one because we want to build on incremental basis. So there we are. So each row is displayed like this, and at the end we are done. This is our table, and for table we can have some attributes like width is 100%, and then we can talk about cell padding, something like 5 points, and so on. Again, you can think of doing a lot more, but for now this is fine. This is the way it goes. Now certain things are to be here. This is fine. This is the query, and there we have it. Okay, this is the one. I think all is well. Now save, restart your application once just to be sure that your connection is established. And if you see any error message in the console during the startup, it means your connection is not successful. That means in the listener we got an error. Or you can be more verbose. I mean, you can throw or write some messages so that you understand it is really successful. So let us put a message here saying println created Oracle data source successfully. It's good to have some messages like that because they work like confirmation. Now, whenever your application starts, you get the message. That means, yes, you created Oracle data source successfully. And now you will be able to retrieve the data using this query and then display the details. Go there and refresh. So when you refresh, it is telling you about something. Don't know how to iterate over items. Well, so where did we go wrong? Oh, right. Rows. Okay. Books dot rows. Books is the result actually. Books is the result. And from there you need to take the rows. One row at a time is copied into it. Now, here we are. That's what you're getting. So you're getting the list of books. So here you have to give books dot rows, not just books, because books is a result and you need to get all the rows from the result. For each and every row you want to do this. That's fine. But if you add border, it becomes a little more visible. Table is supposed to have 1 point border. There we are. Okay. The last column is where we need to put a little more. So what we need to do in the last column is links. So let's focus on that. The first link is about edit book. Edit book dot JSP question mark ID is equal to, there we need to put book dot ID. So this is what you want to do, and then here you are saying edit. So if you click on this edit link, it will take you to edit book dot JSP, and then it is going to pass ID as parameter. Similarly, delete book. Delete book is going to take the book ID. There also we have these two. Maybe you follow the same pattern of giving those square brackets and also giving some space using ampersand NBSP. So save, refresh, you're going to see those two there. You're going to see those two links, and if you click on edit, look at that, it is going to take you there and it's giving you ID1. That's how you pass the parameter. I can read that parameter and understand which book you want to edit. We'll create those pages. Similarly, if I click on this, it's taking me, and this time it is giving ID. That is how you pass some data to a JSP from another JSP. Similarly, we have to delete. Event delete is working in the same manner. So we can edit the book, we can delete the book. I'll create those JSPs little later. Okay, first, is this clear? We retrieve the data by using an existing data source. This data source is created in our listener. So if you ever wondered where and how listeners are useful, in many cases you can use them. This is just one of such cases where in the very beginning I create a data source and put it in application object. Servlet context means application object. Now the next thing is add book, because when I click on this, it is going to take me to add book dot Jsp. It is similar to list books in many ways, so let's go copy and paste and rename that to add book, because add book is also having the same tag libraries, and here we just change this to add book. Style sheet is needed, the header is needed, but there we say add book. And this is not what you want. Instead, you would like to take details from user in the form of a form. So form action is going to be add book dot Jsp. Then we say title, br, input type is equal to text, name is equal to title. Then we say PR. Okay, we just give a paragraph like this. The next thing is author, and the last thing is price. So there I change the name to author. Then we talk about price. If you want, price can be made as a number so that only number is entered, nothing else. I think it is saying it is HTML4, so remove all this, then it is going to support it. But now it becomes HTML5. Okay, by default you get HTML4, but we can change that. In the doc type, you remove all this extra stuff. Do you see there it is saying HTML 4.01? I don't want that, so I can remove that. Generally not really needed, but in this case I prefer to do that so that it knows that there is something like type number. And then finally we need a button. Input type is equal to submit, value is add book. So you're going to see some interface like this. Always double check what you're doing step by step. So I think it's fine. Now I can refresh, and that's what you get. So you get the same overall banner and menu, but below that you have add book. Now you can enter the title, author, and price must be a number. Then when you click on that, it should add and give you a message saying the book has been successfully added. So we need to use some JSTL again for that. But whether we need to proceed further or not, it depends on whether there is any parameters. So if test is equal to, if not empty, what? Param dot title. So if there is a parameter called title, then I would like to do this. Okay, if param dot title means if there is a parameter called title, then I need to process it, otherwise I don't. But how do we process? So we use something like a SQL colon update. Data source is going to be same what we have done before. Application scope dot Oracle data source. And then we are talking about UC, that is the update count, right? So we use a variable count, then the actual command. What is the command, by the way? Insert into books values, again book underscore id seq dot next val, then question mark, question mark, question mark, 3 question marks, title, author, price. That's it. Now you know those question marks are to be replaced with values. So SQL colon param, and we talk about value. And where is the value? This goes in the order, right? So positional, and the value is coming from param dot title, because whatever you enter in the title, when you click on submit button, that will be passed to the same JSP. So then we are coming here. You come here only when there is some input. So give that first. Then you are talking about something like author. Then we are talking about something like price. This is what we need to do. This is the way we insert. And then after that insertion, we want to know whether it is successful. How do we know? If test, there we have the count. If count is greater than 0, we succeeded. Actually, we can also catch the exceptions and we can display the error message if there is an error. For now, I'm saying if count is greater than 0, I just put something H3, book has been. We can even make it a little more interesting by saying something like param.title has been added successfully, so that the title is displayed, and we can even put it in some special delimiters, square brackets, so that it stands out. That's it. This is what I want to do if this is successful. We can also think of error handling and all using the JSTL exception handling, but that is not needed for now. It's fine. This is the way we try to connect it to database through the data source, and then we are trying to get the count into variable. If the count is greater than 0, that means we inserted successfully. We proceed, display the message. Otherwise, we don't do anything. But you can as well display an error message. I told you there is no else part of it. So you should say if count is equal to 0, then you can say could not be added due to error. We don't know what the error is, but we just say due to error. And maybe you should say sorry first, and then you can display this. Okay, that's it. We are ready to now experiment with our adding, and then keep formatting everything, and this is the way it goes. Well, so there we are. Add book. Now data is entered, so nothing is done. At the bottom you see it doesn't go. Why it doesn't go? Look at that, there are no parameters. But it's always good you go for something like a method post, so that you don't see the whole data in the URL. Otherwise you would see the title, author name, everything in the URL. Not a good idea. So now we are refreshing that. This is what we have, and we are ready to go, and it's possible that we insert. So now we are talking about some book. Don't worry about the validity of the titles and others. And then some price. Now click on that. What is it doing? It's not doing anything. So if not empty, param or params? Param. Is it param? And also one more thing I would like to do is retain the values. How do we retain the value? There you say param dot title. And then we are talking about the same for remaining so that we can retain. Well, it's up to you whether you want to retain the input or not. Other, and then you are talking about price. There we are. Go there. And then this is what we entered. And when I click on this, it is doing the job. I think you can go and check that. In Oracle, select start from books. No, it's not inserting, but we are not getting to know anything about it. Where did we go wrong? Is it book ID sequence dot next val? Yes. 3 question marks. So param title, author, price 1, 2, 3, and update. This is update. And first of all, if not empty, param dot title, and there is a parameter called title. We have to make sure that we are getting there. And if you are getting there, you should be doing it. And if it is greater than 0, do that. If it is equivalent to 0, do this. So I think we are not at all getting into this. For that, we need to check what's wrong with this. Param dot title. Oh, I think we need to give expression language there, right? So here in the test, we are not using any expression language, so we should say actually something like this. Okay, that is all expression language stuff. When you don't give that, it doesn't work. Okay, so we do make those silly mistakes. You need to find out where it is going wrong. So now list of books, you got C++ there, and then you can go to add book and add whatever title you like. So you can say HTML cookbook, and then you are saying some David, and then it is 345. Add HTML cookbook has been added successfully. So we got the books added. We know how to list, and we understood both. So out of 4 tasks or 5 as a whole, we are already done with 2. One is listing books along with these options. We will work on them. And then we add a new book. Anytime we can add a book. So we can add some dummy book because I want to delete this. So even this is added, but I would like to delete that now. So our next task is delete. But in the previous case, the mistake I made was not giving praises. If you don't give expression language, it doesn't work. So test was failing. So it was not at all getting into this part of it. Now the next thing is delete. And delete is not going to display anything. After deletion, it will straight away redirecting you to list books. So once I click on delete, it will proceed. It will go to delete books, and after the book is deleted, it is coming back to list books. Or you can even display a message saying that the book has been successfully deleted. If you like, you can do it in that way. But I just want to redirect. It's up to us. Whichever way we like, we can design. So let's create a new JSP. There also we need all that stuff. So I go with add book, copy and paste. There we say delete book dot JSP, and the first thing you do there, you remove all that. I don't need this doc type and all because I'm not going to display anything. Instead, I just straight away go and find out whether there is any parameter called ID. If there is a parameter called ID, then what I need to do is delete. Delete from books where ID is equal to question mark. And we give only one, that is ID. That's it. So if it is successful, we say has been deleted, but even this is not being done by us. What are we doing instead? Just redirecting to that. So if it is done, we redirect, and if you want to display error messages, you need to do it slightly differently. But for now, let's keep it simple. Now this is a very elementary model, but it does get the job done. But if you want to add a lot more error handling and then more confirmation dialog boxes and so on, you need to add a little more. That you can do as you progress. But for now, if this is the case, redirect the user. So I think whichever way it is, you have to redirect. There is no other option for you. So what do? We have one of the tags like redirect. Redirected to what? The URL is list books dot JSP. That's it. After you deleted the book, you are redirecting user to that. Or if you want, you can have some error messages displayed if this is not done. But I think we can go ahead and then try this. So list books is fine, and I'm clicking on that. It's deleting that. The book is deleted, and we are coming back to this. You can experiment with more dummy data, add again the same book. Yes, we can add the same book twice because it is going to have a new ID. Every time you insert, the ID is changing. Now if you click on delete, that is gone. If you click on this is also gone. All the books are gone. So we know how to list books, we know how to add book, we know how to delete book. Now the next thing is edit. When I click on edit, it's going to take me to edit book dot JSP. So that is again similar to add book, but it works like this. We say edit book. As soon as you enter into this, it is getting a parameter ID. Is it getting a parameter? Yes, it gets a parameter called ID. Now that parameter is what I have to use to retrieve the details about the book. So I need to check something like this. I put it in the beginning. So I say if there is a parameter called ID, then I try to do this. What I do, I retrieve the data, not this. All this is gone, and we go to our list books. We use query. We just copy from there, and here if there is a parameter called ID, then we want to retrieve the book where book ID is equal to question mark. And where is the question mark? Again we give SQL param, and the value is coming from $param.id. So this is going to get you a row. This is about the book. Okay, it is going to give you the book. Only one row, but it is there. Okay, now what you need to do is you are going to get, this is, as I told you, result. When we talk about that, that is a result. When we talk about a result, this contains a collection of books. Each book is in the form of a map. So when we use book, this is not actually a single book. According to your query, this is like a set of books, but we are interested only in the first book. Now it's like this. You need to go and understand result in JSTL. So this is result, which is the kind of object you are dealing with. And when we use something like get rows, look at that. It's giving you a set of sorted map objects. And when you say get row count, it gives you the number of rows retrieved. And yesterday, in some other context, we used get column names, get rows by index, right? But now we need to use get rows, which is going to give you the list. It's going to give you a list. But from the list, how many rows we need to take? Only one row. So this is where I need to take only one row. Now let us see how we handle that. Okay, this is about retrieving the data. After the data is retrieved, this is how you retrieve the data. So let's put it like this, and this is the query that we execute, and then we are retrieving the data. After we retrieve the data, now we need to take only one row from that, and that row is to be displayed. So how do we access only one row? And this is about update book. And then we are talking about again going to something else. We are not talking about update book, update dot JSP, because I would like to go to a different page, or if I go back to the same page again, I'll try to load the data again. Okay, I don't want to load the data again every time. So we try to put it in this way. We go to a different JSP. From there we will be going back to list of books. Now update book is posting data to update. So title, where from the data is coming? This is not the way. What it is there? Book dot rows of 0 dot rows is giving you what do you get with rows? Rows, it is giving you something like an array of map objects. From there I want to take title. And then similarly here we are saying rows of 0, and then we are talking about other, because we know there is only one row, not multiple rows. And similarly, it's not param, I'm sorry, it is about book. Or we change that to more meaningful one here. I call it as a result, because that is the result. So here I say result. There we go for result, and here also we say result dot rows of 0 dot title, the other, and finally this. And okay, price. And then we have a button which is going to take us to a different JSP, and all this is not needed. This is what we want. So as soon as you get into this page, by using that ID that you are passing, I'm going to display the details of the book. So I will retrieve the data related to that book, and I'm going to display those details in the text boxes so that you can make changes and then go there. So go back, refresh, and click on edit. It's giving you the details of the first book. Okay, and then go back and click on this. It gives you details about Oracle Database. Now what if I want to change the price from 850 to 750? Then click on update. It's going to update this. It will take me back to list books. Regarding navigation, you have a lot of options. You can change them later. But this is how we can retrieve data about a single book. Look at the parameter there. Do you see? There is a parameter. So now I'm going to go from edit book to update book. Okay, I can call it as update book now. And do we need to create this? And this update book receives the data, and it is supposed to receive not just a title, author and price. Very importantly, it should receive the ID. Without ID, it cannot do anything. Now let me show you what I mean by that. So we remove this for now just to demonstrate what's happening. Now if I click on update book, it is trying to go there. Let's go to list and click on edit, click on this. You see, we are passing title, we are passing author, we are passing price, but we are not passing ID. When ID is not passed, it is not possible for us to make changes because ID is the primary key. Everything is ID driven. When ID is not there, it doesn't work. So one trick we play is we are going to put ID also in the form using an input field that is hidden. We use a hidden field. There is a field of type hidden. If you go there, you can see one of the fields is hidden field, right? And the value of the hidden field is going to be the same. What we say, okay, we can just simply say param.id because it's a parameter already. The name of that is ID. Now you can see this field is not displayed anywhere in the page, but it is part of the page. So when you try to build applications, a lot of techniques will be applied like this. Do you see there? Now we are saying the ID of the book is 3. The title and other details are being passed in this way. Now it is easy for me to update. So go back. Now make a copy of your ad in order to update. So copy, paste. It is more like our delete actually. So I copy this, paste. I call it as update book dot JSP. So there we are, update book. And I'm saying if there is a parameter called ID, then what you need to do is update. Update what? Books. Set title is equal to question mark. Then author is equal to question mark. Price question mark. Where book ID is equal to question mark. So 4 parameters are to be given, and be careful with the order. You need to get them in the right order. The first one is title. Second one is author. Third one is price. Fourth one is ID, of course. That's it. And then after that we redirect it to list books. Where book ID. Yeah. This is where we say where ID is equal to question mark. So update books table. Set the title to question mark, author to this, price to that, but only when the ID is equivalent to the ID. That's it. So this is your update book. From there we are redirecting to list books. So that's the way it goes. Now let's go back. and start with list. So I go with this and I'm changing the price to 325, and then I'm saying Dennis Ritchie, and I say update book. It goes there, and there you see the price changed, the author changed. You can change the title, you can change the author, you can change even the price. All can be changed. So you can click on edit, and you can say Java complete reference, and you can say something like 9th edition, something update. There we are. So that's the way it goes, and now it is a good idea to pass it not through the URL but through the body. So in the action you have to say method post. That's the way you do it. And now if you see, you won't see the data going through the URL. Anyway, we are not seeing it, but then it's a good idea to pass it through that update. We are not making any change, but still the whole thing is working. And if you change it to something like 750 now, update, you can see that 750. So C create is done, L list is done, and then C create R for read, that is list books, and then U for update and D for delete. All of them are done. So we are able to successfully add, we are able to list, we are able to edit, and we are able to delete as well. So our CRUD is complete, and we use JSTL all over, JSPs and JSTL. This is one architecture. For small projects, this is really a practical option. If you're talking about a lot of business logic and all, we can't, but we can certainly use it for small projects. To make things a little more robust, you can go to add book and say this title is required. So we have some HTML validation applied. We can give required so that it checks whether you enter the data correctly. We can put required for all three to make sure that you enter data. Go there. If you try to click on that without entering the data, it will stop you. Otherwise, you might be going to the server without entering the data. But now you must enter the title, otherwise it doesn't work. Something like this, some name and some price. Only when you give all it works. Even when you don't give, it will stop. So that's better, and now you can proceed. That's good, right? With very little effort we are able to achieve a little more functionality. That's what you can do. And now we are left with one last thing. What is that? Search, where we need to take the title and search books based on the title. It has to display only based on the given title, nothing else. It's very much like a list book. So I'm going to copy and paste. So there I say search books. When it comes to search books, we have something like list books, but little more. I say search books, and we need a form there. First we need to put a form. It's more like our update or whatever. I just need to bring something from somewhere, little form, nothing more. Go with search. So there I say same page, search Books Dot Jsp, method might be post, and I'm saying title, and then this is what I want, that nothing else, I don't need anything else, and submit button saying search. And then here, before we do all that, we want to check whether it is to be done, because in the beginning I should not go ahead and search. Only when you pass the title I should proceed. So First of all, select star from books where we say title like question mark. So this is little bit of Oracle stuff or database stuff. I'm saying where title is like this, the question mark, and like means we can use some pattern, and there we say now SQL param value. The value is going to be whatever you have given, param dot title. But in addition to that, we need to have little more, because we want to use the parameter. I mean, if I give Java, it should say wherever Java is present, we want to take it. So either you can use like or you can use something better. Let me do it in this way. I use something like upper so that I make case instance to such, and I'm saying in string of upper of this comma question mark. So if the given parameter is present anywhere in this, if it is greater than or equivalent to 1, it means it's found. Okay, then we want to retrieve the data. Now this is what we need to give as the value, but the value should also be converted to uppercase. I want this title to be converted to uppercase. Is title a string? Yes, you can convert that to uppercase, and then you need to display the details. Okay, we are saying books and the rest remains exactly the same, no change. But the point is, I don't want to do all that unless it is having a parameter. So we put it in if test dollar, then we say param dot title. If it is not empty, if param is not empty, do it, otherwise don't do it. The whole thing is inside that if. So now it should be like this. So we are trying to invoke the same page, and we are passing title as parameter, and if the title is given, then we proceed and we try to look for look for books where the given title is present. In string is a function in Oracle. It says give me the main string, substring. If substring is found in the main string anywhere, it will give you the position. If position is greater than or equivalent to 1, it means it's found. Then we want to retrieve the details. So this is about search. So click on search books. You are there. And if you say something like Java, click on that. You should get Java books. Only Java books are displayed. If you say C and click on that, you get all the books containing C. Now there is no gap between these two, so we need to just give some gap and also push things to the right so that they look good. This is what we want to do, and there we need to give some space so that there is some gap between these two, otherwise they're coming too close, right? So now, so there should be some gap. Save it, click on that. No gap, we'll get that. Refresh. And this is where I want to have gap between the table and the form. Should have, after the form, there should be some gap. So save, go there. Here we are. So you are able to search based on anything. You are saying you are interested in all Oracle books. You can give in any case. You can give in lower case. Still it is locating that. Do you see? Searching is actually case sensitive. But we made it case insensitive by applying small tricks like converting title to uppercase and then converting even that title to uppercase so that we are getting rid of case sensitivity. We mitigate the case differences. So you can add, you can list, you can search, you can ask for anything, and you can give any title. You can even say look for all books containing O, and almost all books contain O, so it's giving. And then if you say guide, you get that. And if you give nothing and try to proceed, it will say no, you must enter something because it's a required field. And if you give ABC and click on that, you get nothing. When you are not finding anything, then you can know that, because I showed you when you talk about result, there is something like a get row count, and this can be used to find out what happened. So there I want to do it in this way. See if test, then dollar books dot row count. If the row count is 0, then we don't want to do this. Instead, we want to do something else. What we want to do, MSS H3, sorry, no books found. Okay, then the rest of the stuff should be done only if there are books. So if count is greater than 0, then I want to do the remaining. This whole stuff should be done only otherwise. So that is the way I want to do it. This is called fine tuning, and you keep doing it. There is no limit, there is no end. So this is how we test whether anything is found by this input. If query results in no rows, then this books is this. If books.row count is 0, we display this, and we should not display this. So this is how we can use some if statements. Now you can go there, search, and search for something, you get this. But if you say you're searching for Java, you get the details. And from there you can go to edit, delete, all as usual. So that's the way it is designed. It's not the most robust and the most user friendly, etc. But for a beginner who just learned how to deal with the JSPs, JSTL, JDBC, though we are not using JDBC directly, we did create what is called as an Oracle data source, and we are making it available. Look at the way we used our listener to put the Oracle data source in the application object, and how that is being used all over, everywhere we are using that. So that's what I'm using everywhere in order to connect it to database, whether it is retrieving the data, updating or searching, whatever. Everything is done through this. But it's highly maintainable, because tomorrow if my connection string is changed or the username or password is changed, then I can go to my database listener, make those changes just once. See, you have some 5-6 pages, but you don't have to go to each and every page and change anything when there is a change to your database, connection string or username or password. You can make those changes here. That's all you need to do in order to implement any change related to database connection. Well, it can be made even more maintainable, but for now, for this project where we just try to understand how to build a small application, this is what we can do. And one last thing, I'm not happy about them. They should be center justified. So where are they? List books, and in the last column there we need to center justify things. So I think we have something like align and I say center, and that is what I want to do. List of the books, there we are, that's entered. And the same we need to do even for search. Remember, we are using the same thing in search, are we? Well, I can make it a little more reusable by putting this part in a separate JSP and include that into both those JSPs. We can include a JSP into another using, JSP colon include a tag. Well, that can be done. So I leave a few things to you so that you can experiment and make it better. So this is about our search, right? This is search, yes. So there, I want that align to be centered there also. So whether you're searching or listing, it's going to come in that way. So this is a very simple application, and this is our initial design. So did we design it in that way? Almost. And we created one table and we created one sequence. Those database objects are already here. So there we have the database objects. If you look at your web info database.sql. So that's about how you can build a simple but a complete application. This is what we call as a CRUD application. Now, as an exercise, you can do the same or rather redo it without JSTL by using Java Beans or through some other techniques. Or you can redo that with any framework you know. But this is with the JSPs, JSTL, with Oracle data source, with the listener, and we used some CSS. Okay, we used something like a sequence in Oracle to auto generate the ID. You can now go and see what are the IDs we have. So we are talking about a lot of books, only 6 books, right? And there we are talking about, so we are talking about select start from books. So we are talking about books like this 4, 5, 9. Python Essential Guide is given ID 9. In between we added and deleted some books, so those IDs were gone. So that's the way you can build an application.